Atleti taking on the defending champions Liverpool, and it would be Simeone's side that will win by 1-0. Saul strike in the 4th minute, proving to be the difference between the two sides in the first leg. Liverpool without a single shot on goal throughout this entire match. All the build-up to this game was the fact that Atleti aren't the team that they used to be.
Yep.
That they're a team in transition. Meanwhile, Liverpool unbeaten in La Liga, in the Premier League, sorry. How does this happen?
Because we have to play the games. You know, it's not about how you're playing at the time. It's not about what's happened previously. That just tries to give people like us an indicator of what we think is going to happen. But the truth is, probably the worst performance Liverpool have had for maybe 12 months came at the wrong time. And probably the best performance Atleti have had for 12 months. So good that they looked like the old Atleti. The fact that Liverpool never got a shot on goal tells you that this team did defend well, did defend for their lives. There was one chance when Salah had a shot that was pretty much headed from just off the line, but that was it. Goalkeeper had no saves to make. They defended well. And on the break, I've never seen Liverpool look so vulnerable, especially down there right. Atleti's left, Liverpool's right. Alexander-Arnold doesn't pick up good positions defensively and doesn't know when to go and challenge. And that means that the man next to him, Gomez, finds himself in no man's land. Everything came down that side. And actually, 15 minutes ago, I turned to you and said, you know what, I will take a 1-0 defeat today because, quite frankly, it could have and should have been more.
Saw Van Dijk make a mistake in the first half, at least one mistake with a header that put Morata in, and luckily for him it was Morata, and he hesitated and fluffed his lines. But 1-0's not a disaster. I mean, if you take one of your worst performances by their standards,
This is a surprise.
yeah, and I think if Atleti were to knock Liverpool out, and I think this is how far the two teams have sort of drifted in opposite directions in the last couple of years, or last 18 months, is that if they do knock Liverpool out, and it's still a big if, it would be a shock.
Right.
I think it would be a shock. Now, a couple of years ago, when it was that rugged, ugly, horrible to play against Atleti's side, it wouldn't have been, because nobody wanted to play them. But the fact that they've changed, they're struggling in La Liga, and Liverpool have been on the front foot in almost every game, it is a little bit of a surprise what happened. I mean, Jan Oblak probably can't believe his luck. Went to his bed last night thinking, I'm going to be the busiest I've been all season. Had nothing to do, barely.
When you play, you understand that this happens, right? And it happened today to Liverpool. One of these anomalies. When Jurgen Klopp's sitting on the side with his coaches at the side and they're trying to decide who to take off, they could have taken anybody off. There wasn't one person that covered themselves in any sort of glory, and that includes Van Dijk, because the goal comes from his poor attempt to clear a ball. So when you turn up and every single one of your players is below average, you try and figure that one out. We know what happens because we've been in the middle of it professionally. And you know it's coming, and you don't know when it's coming. Well, it came today for Liverpool.
You talk about it being an anomaly, but they did lose to Napoli as well in the group stages, where once again they looked very much a shadow of the side that they normally are in the Premier League.
Yeah, how long ago is that though?
Well, it's still this season. It's still within this context of Liverpool looking so amazing.
Yeah,
can
you sit now and envisage a scenario where we're not talking about Liverpool in the next round?
I couldn't sit here yesterday and envisage a scenario in which Liverpool wouldn't have 0 shots on target.
And that's why it's an anomaly, because you don't know when it's coming. The only thing you know is there's going to be performances where you're just not at it. And too many of the team are not going to be at it. You just don't know when it's coming. You just got to hope and pray that either, one, you get away with it, or two, when you do lose, you lose like you did tonight. 1-0, going home, and you're still favourites. Let's be honest. Liverpool are still favourites in this tie.
Gab Marcotti, as I said, with us as well. Gab, what did you make of it?
Well, look, like the boys said, it's as if Atleti turned back the clock to become the team that they were 2-3 years ago, albeit without the leadership of people like Godin, Jimenez, Griezmann on the break, Gabi in midfield. But they played the script very, very well. I was really impressed. We often talk about how Liverpool's fullbacks switch the play. they had a lot of trouble doing it. It looked as if Atletico always knew it was coming and always had a guy there. I think, the script of sitting back and defending deep and clogging the spaces against Liverpool, that's a pretty obvious one. Many teams have tried it. I think it worked for Atletico in part because they were at home, in part because they have better players than I think some people give them credit for, in part because Liverpool had an off day, and largely because they scored straight away. And I think that changed the game, that changed Liverpool's approach a lot. But the boys are right. You have to, what Stevie said at the beginning, you have to go and play the game. That's one of the truths of football. And tell you what, if Morata doesn't slip, that could easily have been 2-0 as well.
I think Atletico missed a trick. Yep. I think they missed a trick. I mean, one goal, couple of shots on target. Liverpool, as average as they've been for a long, long time, and 1-0. I think they've missed a trick. I really do. And I still say it. When you think about Anfield, as it was last year for the Barcelona game, which was incredible, and then you think about this Atleti team, although they're trying to change, they're going to give up ground, getting pummeled by Liverpool, pressure after pressure after pressure. I don't think we're going to, for one moment, see a Liverpool side that's as casual and slack in the final third as we saw tonight. Gab?
I take your point, but somebody made the point before that some teams are very comfortable when they're being pummeled. Some teams don't mind not having the ball. And I think that's the reality of Atletico Madrid. Equally, the screws can get ratcheted up on Liverpool as well. Knowing that we need to score, we need to prolong this game. And Atletico also have, obviously, a world-class keeper, one of the very best in the world, who can go and stand on his head and shut down opponents single-handedly when he's on his day. So all those things together, to me, it's going to be very uncomfortable for Liverpool. And as to why Atletico didn't push on and score a second goal, I think it would have been ideal for them, obviously, if it had happened. But the reality is this Atletico team hasn't scored more than one goal very often over the last 2-3 months. It's just not something that they're very comfortable doing or very good at doing.
But is that not the old Atletico? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they produced it today. When was the last time they produced it? We're talking about how Liverpool produced their worst performance from nowhere, and this Atleti team today produced their best performance from nowhere as well, right? Their best. Is that going to happen twice?
But back to what Gab's saying there, they're saying they're happy to give up possession. Not as much as the team from a couple of years ago. They were certainly happy with the Godins of this world, and they're ugly. No, we don't care if you knock 50 crosses into the box, because we're going to be there to head it away and we're going to fight and scrap. This is a slightly different looking Atletico side, and I think the reason they kept a clean sheet tonight was not because they're that rugged defensive unit, it's because Liverpool were pretty awful in the final third.
How misguided were the celebrations at the end from Atleti?
I didn't see it.
So Simeone,
was that the coffee machine at the time?
It looked like they just won the tie over the two legs, that they booked a place in the quarterfinals. I understand the significance of this win, but it is only at half-time, if you like. Does it matter? Does that motivate Liverpool anymore?
Oh, absolutely.
Is there a problem then that you could get... complacent's not the right word. Is it just...
No, it's just another little bit of motivation on the top of the fact that they want to win anyway. And it's not a surprise when Simeone... I mean, my goodness... we were laughing at him. He spent the most part of the second half standing doing this to the crowd. Yeah. I'm surprised he saw the game.
Which Klopp does,
he was facing the crowd
as well, to be fair. Klopp does it as well.
Yeah, but listen, it's not going to make any difference. The only thing it will do is some of the players...
Stop throwing spanners in the works.
Some of the players will remember it. Some will remember it. No.
Listen, from a neutral point of view, right? Great result.
Yeah.
We see Liverpool battering Atleti 4-0, second leg, dead.
Yeah.
Dead as a dodo. Now, absolutely nailed on, we have a game in our hands.
Quickly, who's going through?
Liverpool.
Gab?
Yeah, head says Liverpool.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.